going to let a few more moments go by as folks are entering the webinar, and I'll go over a few logistics and we will get started here shortly. Okay, well, those of you that are here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us virtually. We know how difficult this can be, and this is a great opportunity for you to learn about an institution in these difficult times. And so thank you to our panelists, our experts that are here to help you and help you make the decisions that are going to determine some of your future. And we know how important this decision is. A few things that are important to note, and everything I'm saying I'll also put in the chat. If you have a question for our panelists, the best way for you to contact them is through the Q&A button. So it's either at the top of your screen or at the bottom of your screen. So it says Q&A, you can click that and you can ask a question, and that question will get answered throughout this 45-minute session. They cannot see you, our panelists cannot see you, they cannot hear you, so that Q&A button is very important. I'm certain they will have their contact information available to you, so if you'd like to contact them outside of this venue, you can do so. You can also sign up for more sessions at the same place that you signed up for this one. There's more tonight, actually, and there are more tomorrow. A recording of this session and everything in that chat will be available to you within a few days at strivescan.com. And I will also put that in the chat as well. So again, thank you to our panelists. Thank you to our attendees. And I will kick it on over to Lafayette College.
Good evening, everyone. So I want to, first of all, I want to thank you all. Oops, hang on. I want to thank you all. Hang on. Problems right out of the gate here. Okay, here we go. Good, there we go. I want to thank you all for bringing us into your homes tonight. So I'm Scott Hummel. I'm the Director of Engineering at Lafayette College, and I'm joined with Kathleen Williams. Kathleen is the Director of West Coast Admissions at Lafayette. Our contact information is there on the screen, and we'll also have it at the end. So if you miss it in the beginning, we'll have it for you at the end of the session. So like they said, if you have any questions, please put them into the Q&A, and we will, if we can, we'll do it right during the session, kind of in real time. Otherwise, we'll catch a lot of the questions at the end, but feel free to type them in as you go. So the way I like to start is really talking about what engineering is. So why don't we start there about talking about engineering. So what is engineering all about? And when I ask this question, so why don't we do this? Why don't you think about this for a second? To you, what is engineering all about? Kind of in your mind's eye, think about, what do engineers do? What's this thing all about? And I'll tell you the top three answers that I always get. I always hear that engineering is about problem solving. Engineering is about making things, and engineering is about developing technology. And this is certainly true. There's no doubt about it that engineers do these things. But I'm going to say that this is not what engineering is all about. At Lafayette, we believe engineering has a higher purpose than solving problems and making things. And really, engineering is people-focused. Engineering is about people. It's about helping people live longer, happier, healthier lives and making the world a better place. And I think this picture captures this so perfectly. Here it is. It's the beginning of April. Baseball season's about to start. And these two kids sitting there playing the great game of baseball. And look at these two kids. Look at the look on their face. It has nothing to do with the fact that this one little guy has prosthetic legs. It's about enabling them to experience life to the fullest and do the things that they want to do. So engineering is about people. It's not about stuff. It's not about things. It's about helping people and helping the earth, helping all the inhabitants of the earth to be a better place. So let's talk about, now that we've put that in context of what engineering is broadly, what is it at Lafayette College? So let's think about that. Lafayette is a liberal arts and engineering school. Lafayette's been here since 1826. Our 200th anniversary is right around the corner. We've had engineering at Lafayette since 1865. So we're over 150 years of offering engineering. I think we were the 6th school in the country to offer a formalized engineering education. So let's think about that. When you think about engineering, oftentimes engineering is described as a skill set. It's sort of the kinds of things that you know how to do, the kinds of things, the analytical techniques, the ability to model systems, those kinds of things. That's all the skill set. Truth is, skill sets are largely interchangeable in that the same things that you learn at Lafayette in thermodynamics, say thermodynamics is I'm a mechanical engineer, thermodynamics is a core topic in mechanical engineering. The truth is, thermodynamics in Easton at Lafayette is the same as it is in Bethlehem, in Blacksburg, in Beijing, in Mumbai. It's the same thing. It better be. The things that the forces and the science behind an engineering that holds a bridge up is the same across the globe, right? So what are the things that make a school different? And what I believe it comes down to is the mindset. So at Lafayette, we talk about the mindset of an engineer, the ability to innovate, to create, taking deliberate risk, right? Deliberate risk is, it's how the Wright brothers learned to fly the plane. It's taking on incremental risk so that you can, that risk is not going to kind of lead to catastrophic results. It'll lead to manageable results. So the ability to collaborate, the ability to communicate. Engineers at Lafayette are great communicators. So that's something that we really pride ourselves on. Hang on one second. All right. And so let's talk about the distinctive features at Lafayette. For one, Lafayette is undergrad only. What do I mean by that? We don't have any graduate students. We don't have students going for their masters. We don't have students going for their PhDs. It's 100% undergraduate focused. And let me give you a small piece of advice as you're going around touring at different schools. You're going to see great labs. And if you come to Lafayette, you'll see our great labs as well. Our spaces are terrific and the equipment is really awesome. It's state of the art. And you'll see that at other engineering schools. But one of the issues is at Lafayette, everything you see is for the undergrad experience. At the universities that you may go to, oftentimes that equipment is really for the graduate students. So keep that in mind and use that filter as you're looking at things. So we are undergrad only on purpose. We could open a graduate school tomorrow and we choose not to because we want to focus on your experience, the undergraduate. So what I want to do is talk about these 4 areas momentarily. We're going to talk about our degree offerings, the different types of engineering programs we have, the study abroad programs that we have, the projects that students engage in, just some examples, and some research opportunities. Okay, so let's talk about degree offerings. That's certainly something that's likely on the top of all your minds. So we offer 2 different types of degree offerings, the Bachelor of Arts degrees and the Bachelor of Science degrees. We're going to start off with the Bachelor of Science degrees. Those are sort of the traditional engineering programs that you know from other schools that you've probably looked at. So let's talk about those first. We have electrical and computer engineering. We have civil engineering. Like I said, civil engineering is our oldest program. That one has been around since 1865. Most of the other ones have been around for 100 years as well. Mechanical engineering, that's a great program. That's sort of my home in mechanical. We have a computer science program, chemical engineering program. The first chemical engineering textbook in the world was actually written by a Lafayette faculty member in 1916. So we go back a ways in this stuff. We also have a new engineering program called integrative engineering program. So integrative engineering builds, that's where our bioengineering program, the robotics program, and the environmental engineering and energy programs live. So those programs live within the integrative engineering program. So those are all of the Bachelor of Science degrees. With those degrees, you can go and get a job as a bioengineer. You can go and get a job as a civil engineer. You can go to graduate school. From any of these programs, you can absolutely pursue those tracks, no problem whatsoever. We also have a Bachelor of Arts degree. The Bachelor of Arts degrees are in engineering studies and international studies. So first, let's talk about engineering studies. Engineering studies is a degree that focuses on that intersection of technology and society. A great example of this is city planning. So city planners look at How does building a development, whether it be a mall, an expansion of a downtown area, a bridge, how does that impact the city and the people that are living in it? So city planning is a big part of it. Construction management is a big part of engineering studies. But engineering studies is a Bachelor of Arts degree. It's not an engineering degree. It's offered by the engineering programs at Lafayette, by the engineering division, but it's not an engineering program in that it's not an engineering design degree. It is specifically meant for looking at that intersection of technology and society. We also offer a dual degree program in international studies. It's very similar to an international affairs degree. And what I mean by a dual degree is it's coupled with one of the Bachelor of Science degrees. So you might be, say, an integrative engineer with a specialty in bioengineering and an international studies major. And those are dual degrees. In other words, you graduate with 2 pieces of paper, one being integrative engineer, bioengineering, and one in international studies. Okay. At Lafayette, keep in mind, the college really is a liberal arts and engineering school. And the liberal arts founding of the school is super important because one of the founding principles of the liberal arts is the ability to explore. And we completely embrace that in engineering. So you're able to switch majors literally at will. So you can change your major either to engineering or to a different major outside of engineering or within engineering. If you come in and you say, I think I want to be a civil engineer, but then you change your mind and you say, what, I really want to do that integrative engineering program with a focus in environmental, you can do that. You can switch majors with no problem at all. There's no process by which we approve you switching your majors, where at other schools, at virtually every other school, you have to apply to switch majors. And if you're going from an under-enrolled major into an over-enrolled major, the school can say no, right? So you have to go through the admissions process again to change your major. You do not do that at Lafayette. There's no mechanism to do that. Literally, you tell us you're changing your major and your major is changed. I mean, it's literally that easy. You can do minors. We encourage students to do minors if they'd like. And what we'd really love to see is students that do minors outside of STEM. So for example, like I said, I'm a mechanical engineer. Say a mechanical engineer with a minor in art. That's a really interesting combination. It shows that you have the technical ability as well as the ability to design and think creatively. That's a really interesting combination. Another one that's popular is economics. So you might be a chemical engineer, say, with a minor in economics. So you understand the chemical processes and you also understand the economics of the problems that you're looking at. So this becomes a really interesting combination. One that's not nearly as interesting as someone who says, I'm gonna major in chemical engineering and minor in chemistry, right? Not a particularly interesting combination there. So we really like these sort of orthogonal is one way to look at these T-shaped engineers, if you will, but sort of these different combinations that allow students to do really interesting things. Students do double major, not very many. In order to double major, you need a handful of AP credits when you come in order to still graduate in 4 years. If you have 5 or 6 AP credits, it absolutely, and they don't have to be in STEM, they could really be in anything. They can really help you to double major if you'd like. And we do see students doing that. They might major in German is a popular major for double majoring at Lafayette. So it might be German and electrical and computer engineering, or any of the languages, history. We have students that major in theater, music, anything like that. So that is absolutely an option. One of the things that all engineering students are required to take is Intro to Engineering. Intro to Engineering is designed to help you decide what type of engineer you want to be. Remember, you can change your major at will. So we want students to make good decisions. So at the end of that, during your first year and you choose what what type of engineer you want to be. That course, Intro to Engineering, is designed to help you make that decision so you make an informed decision. It's taught in a modular format. The semester is 14 weeks long. The modules in Intro to Engineering are 7 weeks long, so you're in one module for the first half, and then a different module for the second half. And you choose which modules you want to be in. Over the summer, before you come to Lafayette, we will send you a description of all of the different modules, and we guarantee that you'll get into your. We've never had a student not get into their first choice, and then for their second choice, sometimes they don't get into their second choice, they might be into their third, but we always give students their first choice. And that's really a great way to learn about the different types of engineering and different things that are available to you, both importantly, both at Lafayette and outside of Lafayette. So we want students to understand what that experience is going to be like here, but also, and really more importantly, what are your options when you get outside? Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about study abroad. So we are a national leader in study abroad. We send more students percentage-wise abroad for a full semester than any other school in the country. And let me explain some of the opportunities we have. So we have 2 fully integrated engineering programs for study abroad. One is in Madrid, Spain, and the second is in Bonn, Germany. All instruction is in English. There's a faculty member, a Lafayette faculty member, is with the group. The group is typically about 25 to 35 students, and the group goes and spends a semester in these locations. It's always the second semester of your sophomore year. That's the way the programs have been set up. So regardless of which engineering major you choose, the second semester of the sophomore year, you have the option, it's completely optional, to go on this study abroad trip. One of the things, parents, if you're on the call as well, there's no additional cost to attend these, to participate in these study abroad trips. Whatever you would typically be paying for the student on campus is what you'd be paying for the student to be off campus. It includes flights across the pond and back. Generally, we travel from Newark Airport. In fact, usually the trips begin and end at Newark Airport. So we handle everything from there, including the flights, transfers, tuition, room and board with our partners on the other side. It takes care of your student visas, all of that stuff is all included. And you still graduate in 4 years. One of the things, as I'm speaking to you tonight, to keep in mind is we are absolutely dedicated to graduating students in 4 years. This college is an expensive proposition, and there's no reason to carry into 5 or 6 years. Many of the state schools do that. Our graduation rates are very high, and students are finishing up in 4 years. So I've been at Lafayette more than 20 years. I've never seen a situation where a student couldn't get through in 4 years because of something that we did. In other words, a student couldn't get into a course or something like that and got squeezed out of a section, and then suddenly that meant, oh geez, I'm going to be here for another semester. That has never happened in the time that I've been here. And we don't overstuff classes. We will open up another section of a lab or of a lecture if we need to do that. We do not overstuff sections. Absolutely. If students do take 5 years to graduate, it's generally because something happened on their side. A student maybe got mono or something like that and had to disenroll for a semester. That's how things happen where students graduate in 5 years, but it's not on our side. It's generally something happens either at home or in the student's personal life that they couldn't finish. Okay. About a third of our students do this study abroad program for the semester long, and about another third go on an interim/summer trip. So we also offer trips all over the globe across the United States during the interim, during the winter month of January, or in May. And these are 4-credit courses. They are not included with Lafayette standard tuition and room and board. So there is an extra cost in those, and they range from $4,000 and up, and they're all over the globe. There's one that's fantastic. It does the Grand Staircase in Colorado. That one is done in May, of course, not in the winter. There's trips in Hawaii, Australia, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, really all over the globe. And they're terrific programs. The Galapagos Islands, they're really terrific programs. And they are 4 credits. So the one in the Galapagos, for example, is the geology program, runs that one. That's a very popular program. So these programs are really fantastic, and they're for college credit. So let's talk about some of the projects. Since we're doing this online and you're not here in Easton, so I've brought up a bunch of pictures to kind of show you the kinds of things that students are engaged in. So some of this is research, some of it is co-curricular projects, but let's go through a couple of them. In the upper right-hand corner, that's Professor Lindsay So with a student of hers, and they're working on alternative energy. What they do is they've developed a process where crops are grown in a township just adjacent to where the college is in Easton. It's in Forks Township. So they grow crops, they harvest the crops, they pull the lipids out or the oils out of the crops. They create a sort of a lower grade diesel fuel that can be used for home heating oil. In the Northeast, in the Pennsylvania area, many homes are heated with home heating oil. And so what they're basically doing is growing the home heating oil, right? So they've got a process where they can take these plants, pull out the lipids, the oils, and create this home heating oil. So it's really an interesting project. In the lower right-hand corner, this is our steel bridge team. We are the national champions 2 years running for the steel bridge competition. This is an international competition where schools from around the globe, including some of the best so-called best engineering schools in the country. We're talking Brown, University of Illinois, all the Berkeley, all the top schools are there, MIT, and we are the national champions 2 years in a row. We are a formidable group in steel bridge. This is run through the civil engineering program. And as you can see in that photo, lots of women in our civil engineering program. We're one of the few schools in the nation that have gender parity. So we have 50% women in our civil engineering program. In the lower left-hand corner is a student working on a robotic hand as part of a capstone project. And in the upper left-hand corner, there is the robot dog. This is an open dog. This is a project that was initiated by a gentleman in England who developed this open source robot. And so, of course, we had to build one. This is a large robot. It's equivalent to a large dog. And the goal for this is that within a year or two, this robot is going to lead the tours. So Kathleen, you'll love that. We're going to be able to have the tours for on campus led by this robot. And the robot is being trained, so it goes up on its hind legs and it presses the button for the elevator. So that's one of the things the students are working on. So that'll be great fun. And that's part of the robotics program in the integrative engineering program. Some other projects, and I'll go through these pretty quickly. We have the formula car there. The formula car race car that we're building now is an electric formula car. You have the maroon monster in the bottom left-hand corner. This is a large-scale tensile compressive testing machine. That's a large concrete beam that they've broken. In the center is the brain-computer interface. This is an interdisciplinary project between electrical and computer engineering, computer science, psychology, and the integrative engineering program in robotics. And this is a kind of a scary project. You can see the student in the bottom of that picture has this funny looking cap on. That cap is sensing brain waves, and the student is controlling a robot through thought. Yes, through thought. The student has trained the system. When the student thinks, take a right, turn right, the robot will turn to the right. When the student thinks, turn left, the robot will turn to the left. It's really amazing to watch, a little frightening, but it's really sort of cutting edge stuff. And this is also a research project. So these students were all paid researchers. In the lower right-hand corner is Professor Lauren Anderson with a student of hers working on some drug delivery methods. And in the upper right is a student group related to sustainability. So a couple other quick ones here in the upper left. This is a shock tube. This is a long tube that creates supersonic waves. So this waves at the speed of 1,200 miles per hour, and the students are working on those. Like I said, undergrad only, right? So there's not graduate students doing this work, but we have our undergrads, the students going for their bachelor's degrees are working on this research. In the lower left, that's a small scale separations unit. It's a industrial quality separations unit. In the middle are some robotics projects and mechanical engineering. Also in the lower right-hand corner is Dan Sabatino, the professor in mechanical engineering and department head, working with one of his students on flow visualization. And in the upper right is a student working on the drug delivery system in chemical engineering. So those are some of the great projects. Some other pictures as well. You can see there's a lot, we could go on. And there's also this space called Leopardworks, which we opened last year, which is this hands-on makerspace. You can see the student in the middle is working on one of the 3D printers. It's a fleet of 3D printers that we have, and they're open for any student across the campus to work on. And we encourage students to work on those. So this is great fun. Let's see, so some other spaces that are working on, the one on the top there, that's a space in mechanical engineering that is being renovated this summer. So mechanical engineering is about to experience some really nice renovations. And there's some other projects there. There's La Farm, which has some student projects, and there's a project on aging and trip avoidance, where elderly people tend to trip, and they built this mechanical device to help keep that from happening. So some really great projects going on. So the point here is Acopian Engineering Center, which is the facility that you can see behind me, is really a state-of-the-art place. You have use of laboratories from day one. There's a team of technicians that are here to support students and faculty. Again, we don't have graduate students, so it's not like the technicians are working on PhD projects and master's level projects. They're working on things with the undergraduates. The coursework is really terrific, and the facility can really support all of these things, whether it's the courses, the student research, and independent studies. It's really there to support that kind of work. So let me talk briefly about research. So if you think about a faculty member, faculty are certainly teachers. There's no doubt about that. The faculty are teaching the courses, not the graduate students, right? So when you go into a lab, your laboratories will be taught by faculty, not graduate students. Why? Because we don't have graduate students, right? So all the faculty are teaching the courses, but the faculty are all research active. And this is true for all college faculty and university faculty. At Lafayette and all the other schools you're looking at, is faculty are working on research. At Lafayette, there's no graduate students to compete with. So in order to do research, and my research is in wear of materials and wear of metals that are used in orthopedic surgery, and I include students in my research programs. We have funding for students for stipends, to pay. Stipend is a fancy word for pay. So we pay students to work on research and provide housing during the summer and over the winter interim for students to work on faculty research. So that's really great. You get paid to work, and then that looks really great on your resume, especially if you want to go to graduate school, because you can demonstrate to Virginia Tech or MIT or Caltech or wherever you want to go. Look, I've been involved in research. I've done this kind of thing before. I can really be successful, and you're a lab too. And so that's why Lafayette is so successful in placing students into graduate schools across the country, whether it's Cornell, MIT, Brown, University of Illinois, especially in civil engineering, Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech in mechanical, as well as biomedical, University of Virginia. We place students in all the top schools, Johns Hopkins. So many students, about 20 to 25% of our students go from Lafayette directly into graduate school for engineering. So the engineering division the engineering building is being expanded. You can see in this photo, see that glass top, and you can actually see it above my head as well. The glass top, that 5th floor, is a new addition that we're going to be starting soon. We have the money in hand, and we've got the renderings, as you can see. So we're going to be beginning that project relatively soon. We've got new robotics labs, bioengineering labs, environment and energy labs. Those are done. We're being worked on currently. Leopardworks is done. That's the maker space. The Rockwell Integrated Science Center is complete. It's right next door to the Engineering Center. the fifth floor expansion you can see there, and there's just lots of renovations going on throughout the building. Like I said, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering is also being renovated this summer. So these spaces are going to be really fresh and new and really beautiful. Some fast facts about Lafayette Engineering. So we're ranked 13th by US News. About 200 to 225 students enter engineering each year. That's what our class is into engineering. About 75% of those students stay in engineering. The other 25% don't leave the college. They find other majors because, like I said, it's very easy to switch in and out of engineering. So we have students that come to us and say, you know what, I think I'd rather be you know, a biology major or whatever, and they just switch their major into something else. So we actually don't want a 100% retention rate. We want students to be bold, to find their passion while they're here. So having a retention rate that's less than 100% is desirable. We're nationally recognized for diversity, for gender diversity by the American Society of Engineering Education. We're a top 20 school for a percentage of women students and top 10 school for percentage of women on our faculty. Like I said, in civil engineering, we just reached gender parity in our senior class for the first time this year. And we have about 40% women across all of our engineering programs. About 85% of our students graduate in 4 years. Like I said before, 20 to 25% go on to graduate school. We have a 98% job placement rate. And can I tell you one thing? I'm going to be honest with you about this for a second. So you've probably heard other admissions officers, sorry, Kathleen, no offense meant to admissions officers, or you may have heard a dean at another engineering school, and they're all bragging about their job placement rate, and ours is about 98%. Can I tell you something? From the inside, do not be impressed by this number. Ours is 98%. You look at another school, it's 96. You look at another school, it's 94. Another one's 99. It means nothing. All that's really saying is if you have an engineering degree, you'll be able to get a job. It's not a statement about that school, right? Engineering degrees are engineering graduates are very much in demand. They've been in very high demand for 30 years or more. We don't see that coming down at any time. So, you know, technologies, if anything, is speeding up. So don't be impressed by the 98% job placement rate. Of course, we have a job placement rate. Lafayette is a great school, and we're graduating very talented engineers, and so companies want them. So of course, our students are getting getting jobs. One of the differences is our school, I think what we are doing at Lafayette is we are preparing our students to be the next generation of leaders. Of course, our students can do calculations and do engineering modeling as well or better than any student across the country. I put our students up against anybody, but what our students are really great at are the things that we talked about earlier: the ability to communicate, the ability to innovate, all of the things that a company looks for in their next generation of leaders. And so that's what we're really looking to do. Okay, so applying to Lafayette, I'm going to turn this over to Kathleen from admissions so she can talk about some of the ways to apply to Lafayette. Kathleen?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. And Scott, we have a question in the chat box for you about what liberal arts classes do our engineering students need to take. I can touch on that, but I think you're probably even better equipped to do that.
Sure.
So, hi, everybody. Again, I'm Kathleen Williams. I do oversee the West for Lafayette College, but I am also the liaison to engineering. So I'm really happy to always present on this with Scott, who is terrific. Can you go to the next slide? Back to where you were?
Sure.
That'd be great. So we are a common application school only. So when the common application started, Lafayette was one of the first colleges to sign on. So that is the only application that we use. So how does it work? How do you get into Lafayette College? You fill out the common application. We are looking at your transcript for sure. So the first thing we look at is rigor. We're looking to see how have you challenged yourself within the context of the school that you go to. And we want to know, because at Lafayette, we love students who, as Scott indicated, kind of push the boundaries of their academic wheelhouse. So we love that students challenge themselves, and we look for that in a transcript. We also then recalculate the GPA to a 4.0 scale. I get a lot of groans when I do information sessions about this, like, why am I taking these AP or IB courses if you're just going to put me back to a 4.0 scale? Well, remember, the very first thing we look at is rigor. How are you challenging yourself? And then we do put everything on a 4.0 scale because we want to make sure that the application process is fair. Different schools do different things with regard to honors, AP, IB courses, etc. And so just literally across the globe, because part of my territory is also international, we convert everything to a 4.0 scale. We are most assuredly looking at your letters of recommendation. We want to know what other people have to say about you. How are you contributing to your school, to your classroom environment? Because at Lafayette, students are involved, whether it's academically, because certainly they would be academically, but also across this campus. This is a residential campus where 96% of the students live on campus for all 4 years. And so we are looking at how are you going to contribute to this very rich fabric known as Lafayette. So your letters of recommendation can bring you to light. We're also clearly looking at your personal statements, and we have supplemental questions. Why Lafayette? And what do you do and why do you do it? In answering why Lafayette, it's really important that you are specific. If you can fill in another school, then you have done yourself a disservice to answering why Lafayette and why another school. And you could make that mistake that I have seen, which is I've read recently, and that's why I want to go to NYU, or and that's why I want to go to Vassar. Oops, you're applying to Lafayette. So definitely you don't want to do one of those cut and paste jobs. We know the pandemic has impacted students' ability to take the SAT or ACT. And so we were test optional this year, and we will continue to be test optional for 22 and 23. So don't stress about that. If you can get to the SAT or ACT, fabulous. We super score both of them. If you can't, that's okay too. Lafayette is also a school that highly recommends interviews. So if after this session you want to check us out some more, there's lots going on virtually at Lafayette that you can go to admissions@lafayette.edu to check out. And also we are giving you in-person tours. So I was on campus today. We were really, really busy with both accepted students who hadn't had a chance until now to come to Lafayette because of the pandemic, and other students who are sophomores and juniors checking us out. So know that we are open for tours, but also lots of ways to go to virtual events, whether information sessions, breakout sessions with professors or students, just lots going on virtually. Also, we highly recommend interviews. And if you are a junior right now, those interviews are happening now. And they are almost always done by a senior in college. They are evaluative, meaning they will become part of your application, but it's also a great time for you to just get a sense of Lafayette from another student. So that's how the application works. We are a class that meets, a school that meets 100% of demonstrated financial need. So if you are a US citizen, we require both the FAFSA and the CSS profile. If you are an international student, we just require the CSS profile. Early decision deadlines are November 15th. Know that if you need financial aid, it is available early decision. So some students think it's not, and that is just absolutely wrong. Also, our admissions team and financial aid team work very collaboratively. So if you need to talk to somebody in financial aid, I or your territory manager, depending on where you're from, we will put you in touch with folks in financial aid, or you can simply email them and talk about your financial situation and what that might look like if you were accepted to Lafayette. So regular decision is January 15th. We just have mailed, because we are old school, we actually send you a personalized letter from Lafayette accepting you. Those have gone out, and now students are just bombarding campus for opportunities to meet with us here and to have tours and whatnot. So that's how the application process works. And a couple of things to know: we also have merit scholarships, which are there are full tuition scholarships, half tuition scholarships, and scholarships at $10,000, $15,000, and $20,000. And we also are a school that looks at demonstrated interest. So the fact that you're here now, that will be put into a file. And we'll know that you came to see Scott and me talk to you today about Lafayette. And we'll also know about other events that you avail yourself of. So it looks like there are some questions, Scott, in the box.
Sure. Yeah, I'll hit those. So one is, what liberal arts classes are required? So at Lafayette, we have what's called a common course of study. It's the Common Core that all students, including engineers, are required to take. So it's largely an outcomes-based requirement. So that means you have a broad array of options. So you can take courses like we have global and multicultural requirements, right? So what that means is you can take courses from the English department in that area, film and media studies, history, economics. There are many courses kind of across the college that connect with different common course outcomes. And what that allows you to do is really connect those to your interest and to your major. So and we really find that students are more engaged in those courses. And so that's the way we've opted to do them. So you have a wide variety of ways to fulfill your common course of study requirements. We do require writing courses, of course. There are a values class. It's not necessarily ethics, but sort of values. One that I'm familiar with that was just proposed, it's at the curriculum committee now, so it's not, if you look online, you're not even going to find it because it's not an official course yet. But civil engineering is going to offer a values class that looks at the city of Bonn. So we have a faculty member from civil engineering who is leading the trip to Bonn next spring, and she is going to look at the infrastructure of the city and how that infrastructure reflects the values of the city over time. So it's really an interesting sort of history / civil engineering / societal values class. That'll be really interesting. So yeah, there's lots of ways to do that. Let's see, what are some of the other ones? May you talk about the aerospace engineering and biomedical engineering? Sure. So we don't offer a specific aeronautical engineering degree. If you're interested in that, the way to do that is through mechanical, because mechanical engineering has a good number of faculty with a focus in aeronautical. I showed you the shock tube, for example. Dan Sabatino, the faculty member that was there with his student doing flow visualization, that's related to aerospace. His background, just so you know, he worked at General Dynamics designing the jet engine for the 787. Before coming to Lafayette. So we've got lots of experience in aeronautical and aerospace engineering. So that's the way to do that. As far as the bioengineering, it really, the way to get the deepest focus in bioengineering is to go into the integrative engineering program and choose the bio option. If you're in the integrative engineering program, you must choose one of the focus areas. It's not a general engineering degree at all. So you must choose one of the areas, either bioengineering, robotics, environment, and energy are the areas that you can choose, and you must choose. You have to take a stand, so to speak. But those focus areas are in your junior and senior years. The first 2 years in the integrative engineering program is largely common among the concentration areas. Kathleen, did we miss anything else? Let me bring up one more thing very quickly, and that is career services. We didn't really talk too much about that. We have a top-ranked career services program at Lafayette. They're always ranked top 20 in the country among all colleges and universities, and they really help connect students to internships. Lots of our students do internships. They're widely available, especially for engineering students, and they also help connect them into graduate schools. We are not a co-op school, but the internships are widely available. All right.
So I'd just like to, do I have a couple more minutes? Christy, cut me off if we run out of time. One of the things I want to talk to you about is this beautiful combination of engineering and the liberal arts and why it's important. And Scott definitely talked about it, But when engineers or those who are exposed to STEM but aren't STEM majors get their first jobs, they go from being individual contributors, right? You're hired to do a job. But what we see with our engineers and our other STEM majors is because you have had the exposure to the liberal arts and you come out of Lafayette being a really good communicator, both orally and in writing, and you have the social intelligence from working in groups, our students go very quickly from being individual contributors to being leaders, supervisors, and CEOs. And Scott can probably talk to you about the percentage of CEOs. I think we're in the top 6 in the country of engineers and STEM. Anyway, you can talk to that, Scott.
So I don't have the figure off the top of my head, actually, but we're in the top 10 for the number of graduates that, on a percentage basis, that end up in CEO, director and above positions at corporations. That's what it is.
Great. So thank you, Christy. I know you probably want to speak. Turn it over
No,
to
that's
you.
okay. I just to be on time. If there's anything else you want to put in the chat, you're welcome to do so now. I know your contact information is up. Just thank you so much for your expertise and your commitment. This is so incredibly important to the future of these students. So appreciate you, and thank you to the students and parents that were able to join us and or are watching now. When you leave this, there'll be a quick 4-question survey. Again, you can access this on StriveScan's website, along with everything that's in the chat and questions that were asked. So you'll be able to see those as well. Again, thank you so much to everyone that was able to be here and who was able to contribute your knowledge. We appreciate you again, and best of luck, and have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.
Christy. Thanks,
Thanks,
Scott. Thank you all for
Thanks,
being
Christy.
here. We really appreciate it. Look forward to hearing from you some more.
Good night now.
Good night.